Atlas Shrug 383 here, and today I would like to talk about my Ruger Standard, aka Ruger Mark 1 pistol. It's a semi-automatic blowback action 22 long rifle pistol by Ruger. It's basically the pistol that made Ruger. Uh, uh, so it's an interesting pistol, and I took it shooting with my son a couple of weeks ago, and it's still dirty, so we've got to clean it. And I thought I'll make a video on how to clean the Ruger pistols. They're a little finicky to clean. They're not difficult at all. I'll show you some tricks that I have learned and just how simple they are. My son and I were very impressed. It was our first time taking this one out, and when I first bought it, I test fired it a little, and I had some jamming issues. But then I took the pistol all the way apart and cleaned everything really good. And when we had it at the range, it ran really good. I never had a single issue. And that's just shooting the cheap bulk ammo packs. I think it's a Federal. It's what I've got right now, a Federal bulk pack. And it did really well. It's fairly accurate, and it's worth talking about a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the pistol. Some of you may be interested in that, and just on the surface level. And then we'll talk about some of its kind of quirky features and design. And then I'll clean it and show you how to take it down and give it a thorough cleaning. So thanks for watching, and let's dive in. So this is my Ruger Standard that we're going to talk about today. I bought this pistol, obviously used, at Range USA in Knoxville. I was there shooting with my son and shooting their indoor range. And after we finished shooting, I wanted to walk around and have a look at their inventory, and I looked at their used guns. And when I saw this, it really jumped out at me. I really like historical firearms and firearms with a story, so to speak. And just the look of the Ruger Mark series, I always thought they were attractive pistols. They kind of have this classic design. Reminds you a little bit of like a German Luger P8 from World War II. Just the angle of the grip, which also this grip angle is a little bit reminiscent of like the 1911 handguns. And I like just like the aesthetic of it with the tapered barrel. So I've always had an interest in these, and so I bought it. You know, I've never owned a Ruger Mark series before, and I thought, what better way to start than with the Genesis. The pistol came with two 9-round magazines. This is what the magazines look like. And what was funny is that it even came in this this old handgun case, like from the from the 60s or 70s. This came with it, and check this out. Fleece lining. Fancy. I haven't seen one of these since, well, a long time. My dad has one of these, I think, with one of his pistols, but yeah. So let's have a look. Before we handle this gun in detail and check out the features, we need to make sure it's not loaded. So these pistols have an interesting magazine release. They're a spring action down here. See this? You actually pull it back, and that'll release the magazine. And you see the magazine doesn't just fall out. You know, you kind of have to pull it out. It's interesting there. And then now we're clear. So we can handle this firearm in a manner that we see fit to talk about it and clean it. And what we're going to do with these magazines is set them way over there, out of the way. So we know we're dealing with an empty pistol. So let's talk a little bit about the history of this. Like I said, this was the pistol that made Sturm Ruger Company. It was the first pistol they ever sold, and they sold an epic amount of these. Not necessarily this one, although they did make the Mark I for about 30 years. They made different pistols in the Mark series, this being the Ruger Standard. The actual Mark I, there were some different barrel lengths associated with even the Mark I. Some of them had a bull barrel, more of a target-oriented pistol. But this is just the standard model. It's the entry-level, basic, model. You'll see that it has fixed sights, fixed iron sights. They are not adjustable. It's a blowback action. I've got it on safe right now, but it's a blowback action. And on this side, you've got your safety. When the safety is switched on, the bolt locks and the trigger is locked. Yeah, so that's the basics of the pistol. The Ruger Standard came out in 1949, and as Bill Ruger was the designer, he engineered and designed this pistol. And even though it has that kind of Luger aesthetic, it's actually based on a Japanese pistol. There's the Nambu line of Japanese pistols. So you'll have to look that up, or I'll show you a picture from Google of what the Nambu looks like, and you'll see the similarity. That's what the action is copied after. The Japanese Nambu, I think it's Type 14. So that's where you get this, the Luger actually has kind of a top brake bolt. It's a complex bolt that you pull up and it opens the bolt and everything. But the Nambu is a simpler design, and that's what Bill Ruger was interested in. It's just this basic simplicity to have a reliable and cheap to produce firearm. So there were some other semi-automatic pistols back in the day, back in the late 40s and early 50s, but this one hit a price point that most people could afford. The original was around $30. And I'm not a historian, so you can check my facts, but I'm pretty sure the original was around $30, which was much, much cheaper than other semi-automatic rimfire pistols back in that day. There really weren't a lot of different ones to choose from if you did want one. So over 2 million of these were sold. 2 million. Like, it's the most mass-produced rimfire semi-automatic pistol ever, and still is. And as you may know, the Mark series is still in production, not this version. This version ceased in the late 70s, early 80s. But there are modernized versions with button magazine releases instead of this. The bolt on these, the bolt doesn't hold open after the last shot. So after the last shot, the bolt closes, and you just have to count your rounds. You'll dry fire the last round if you don't. You can make the bolt stay open though using the safety switch. If you bring the bolt back and flip the safety on, then then the bolt will stay open with the safety on. And to release it, then you just pull the bolt back, put it on fire, and then you can lower the bolt. So, but the bolt doesn't stay open on the last round like a lot of pistols do. When Bill Ruger was designing this pistol, he had an interest in firearms, and like I said, he had a Japanese Nambu that kind of inspired him. He needed money. He needed capital to get his company off the ground. And along came Alex Sturm. That Alex Sturm is the man who brought the money. He brought the finances to the table, and together they formed Sturm Ruger Company. So they started cranking these puppies out. Sadly, Alex Sturm died in 1951. So early on, when they first founded the Ruger Company, they created the seal, the sort of the standard with the eagle crest. Mr. Ruger had an interest in heraldry and family crests and heraldic symbols, and so he chose this crest for the company. And it originally had the Ruger eagle in red, just as it is today. Today, if you go buy a Ruger, I have a Ruger rifle, and the eagle will be red inlaid on it. But Mr. Sturm passed away in 1951, and as a tribute to him, they changed the red to a black eagle. So you'll see this one is black. It's a little bit worn, but and at some point, I don't know when, they changed it back to red. So that's enough about history for now. That, in a nutshell, that's everything you need to know about the Ruger Mark series. It started with this. This pistol was produced sometime around 1954, 1955. I've ran the numbers on the serial number, and that's about when it was produced. It's serial number 90447. So, this is an early Ruger standard pistol. These pistols are reliable, but they are finicky to take down. They're different than anything else that I've ever had, any other pistol. Doesn't really mean they're hard or difficult. They're just different. And I feel like a lot of people kind of let them go and didn't clean them. And this pistol has definitely been used a lot. I mean, you can see a lot of the bluing is worn on it. I would consider it to still be in decent shape, but it was used, and but possibly not cleaned adequately. So let's talk about cleaning. We're going to take it down, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Just real quick, what we're going to do is we're going to check again, make sure that it's empty. Empty pistol, no magazine. So you have to start the process with the hammer down. So you have to dry fire it. That's something right off the bat. With rim fire, we don't like to dry fire these because the firing pin slams against the chamber, and you can only do that so many times and something's going to break. But to take this pistol down, even in the owner's manual, that's the first step. I don't know if you could use a snap cap or not, because then you do have to take it apart. But we'll follow Ruger's instructions this time just for show. So what we're going to do is we want that firing pin down. So we're going to dry fire it. Okay. Now from there, the mainspring assembly all comes out of this pistol all together. And it's accessed by this lever on the back of the handle. See that? It's kind of funny looking. You cannot pull this with your fingernail. And I don't suggest that you use a pry tool like a screwdriver to pull this apart. It has been done before, and it has caused a little bit of damage there. Not much, but this is the preferred method. This is a plastic zip tie that I've made a little loop with. And we're going to put that loop around this central piece that's sticking up here. And that's what we're going to use to pull it down. That's what's going to release this whole assembly and allow us to take it apart. All right, hold on a second. I'll give you a better view once I get this attached. Well, there we go. See, what I've done is just pulled that down now. And now this whole assembly is ready to come out. You see up here, this pin slides through to the top of the frame. Then we're just going to pull it out. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, so now the upper receiver will there's a hinge in the upper receiver. And now we can remove the upper receiver. We just kind of push it forward and that will lift off. And here's the internals. See that? It's very simple design. Very, very simple design. So with the upper assembly apart, now we can pull the bolt out. Very simple. See that? Right here is where that hinge hooks into the frame. See this right here? That part right there? It grabs right here. Grabs it in like a hinge. And so this is ready for us to clean. The bolt assembly. See here the extractor. Cleaned that extractor. It's got good spring tension on it. Firing pin. It's right here on the top. We can remove this spring as well. And that's where the first time that I was cleaning this, I don't think this spring assembly had been removed. We can remove that with a pencil. We're just going to take that down, and now it tends to get kind of stuck in there a little bit, but I like to use a pencil because I know it won't hurt anything. So there's your spring assembly. And that allows you to get down in this channel and clean really good. I found that that was very dirty when I cleaned it before. So the first thing that I'm going to do in my cleaning is use a powder solvent and wipe some surfaces down with just some powder solvent here. It'll give us some indication of just how dirty it is after my son and I shot it. Huh? It's in pretty good shape. It's not bad at all. I am getting just a little bit of fouling. Again, that's coming from this chamber that the spring fits down in. But it's not too bad. When I cleaned this after I bought it for the first time, I got a lot more out of it than that. It's my goal to keep it clean and not ever let it get that bad again. I'm going to clean this on the bottom of the bolt where it rides back and forth inside the frame. We want to keep that nice and clean to keep it reliable. We're going to use a little bit of solvent on some other parts. This part here shouldn't, the mainspring assembly that we popped out of it, this shouldn't get very dirty because it's not exposed to powder when the weapon is firing, but we will add a little lubrication to it. I'm just checking it right now, and of course it doesn't have any fouling on it because it's not exposed to gas from the ammo or anything. All right, still just wiping some parts. I'm wiping down the upper and the barrel assembly. Looking good, looking good. And lastly, I want to wipe this down in here a little bit. I'm going to use some little bit of light oil on these parts too when I'm done, but right now I'm just checking to see if there's fouling, and there's not much. We'll see about what that barrel looks like here in a minute, though. I'm really curious because that's dirty ammo I'm shooting there. That's it's just practice ammo. It's nothing special, and usually when I'm shooting 22s, you know, they tend to make a mess. I'm going to run some patches through it now. I've got a cleaning rod. I'm going to put a 22 caliber Jag on here. And I've got some pre-cut 22 patches. So let's have a look at this and see. We'll put some solvent on here. See how dirty that bore is. Let's see what we get out of this thing. bad. Let's see if I can. Right there's where I need it. That's not bad. We're going to run some more through it though, because we want to make sure we get that bore clean. Get it clean of powder residue, and then we can oil it, because we want to take care of this thing. This pistol has been around for 70 years, and we want it to be around 70 more if possible. Okay, so the bore is not very dirty, to my astonishment. Maybe I should have ran a brush. What do you think? Should I have used a wire brush before I did the patches? Maybe so. I often do wire brush it. Let's get, well, that's such a short barrel. It's such a short barrel, it's hard for me to get in there and go back and forth, you know. All right. I'm going to use a little Balistol on this now. Balistol is my oil of choice for all of my firearms, especially my black powder, but it works good for all of them. I lost my patch. Come on. A little bit, but not much. The chamber area is an area that you really want to get good, and that's a lot of times you get a lot of fouling right there at the mouth of the chamber, and you want your feed ramps to be clean. So trying to focus on that as much as I can. I'm just not getting much out of it, guys. I'm not getting much fouling out of it all. So I'm going to run 2 clean patches through, and if I don't see anything concerns me, then I'll say the bore is clean. Yeah. All right, well, I'm not going to keep wasting patches because it looks clean. I am going to waste another one of these though. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on one of these big, I use these great big patches for everything, and I'm going to use it now to apply oil. I'm going to try to get my finger in here too. There's a little bit of when I'm cleaning something, it's just more satisfying if you at least see some dirt coming off, you know. You know, I'm getting a little bit of fouling out of here, rubbing it by hand, but not a lot. I'll let that sit a minute. Now I'm going to put some oil on the bolt, in the face of the bolt, and the firing pin area, and get down in there, in the extractor area. Looks pretty good to me. What do you think? Can you see it? There we go. And now let's oil a little bit down here in the frame. Guys, it really wasn't that dirty. We shot, my son and I, we shot probably, those are 9-round mags, probably about 60 rounds through it. I mean, that's not a whole lot, but it's enough to make it dirty. All right, so now I'm going to take one clean patch. I'm going to take one clean patch and just wipe the excess oil off, because I oiled it up pretty good, and we don't need it to be dripping. Don't need it to be dripping. Wiping off the excess a little bit. Okay, that's as good as I plan to clean it. Now we need to put everything back together. So to start with, we're going to take our bolt and put our spring back in. There we go. Piece of cake. Now we're going to put the bolt back in the upper. When we put the mainspring assembly back in here, when we put that assembly back in here, we want it has to go in a certain way, okay? So if you remember, when we took this thing down, we had to dry fire it. You have to remember that the hammer or the striker has to be in the up position when we reassemble this. Otherwise, reassembling it is a chore. So we take the upper, we've got our bolt assembly back into our upper receiver. We're going to hook it on that little hinge. Lower it down like so. We're going to hold it back like this. And hopefully everything will go right together. Just like that. It's a little bit of effort to get this thing back together. Truly is. I wrestled with it for longer than I thought. The last time I took it down, I didn't have to wrestle with it quite that much. But I hope this did help you. And just, you got to remember when you put this back together, the striker needs to be in the up position in here. That's a necessity. And there's a little shaft inside here, and it has to be down to give you room to put that spring assembly back in so that it sticks up the top, and then you can hook it around and close it properly. So yeah, the later Ruger Mark pistols are much easier to take down than this. And if if simplicity is something that's important to you, then maybe you should go with one of those later models. But I like the old quirky stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching my video. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll end with a short clip of my son shooting the pistol. Have a blessed day.